Hey guys, tonight we drift back to an hour when the moon hangs like a pale coin over the ragged rooftops of Chang'an, and you're standing at the eastern gate, boots already dusted from a restless pre-dawn shuffle. Lanterns sway on bamboo, poles, bleeding amber pools onto the flagstones, and every pool feels like a spotlight you'd rather not stand in, for reasons that will soon tingle down your spine. A camel snorts beside you, loud enough that your heart kicks, and somewhere in the darkness a flute squeaks out an uncertain scale, as if even the musician worries a greedy ear is counting beats for pickpocket timing. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your city and local time in the comments. I love seeing the map light up like paper lanterns across time zones. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You adjust the hemp rope cinching your small satchel. Inside, 3 tags of stamped copper, 1 fragrant silk handkerchief, and an optimism that, frankly, you probably won't survive this without losing something. The guards slide the wooden panels aside, groaning like half-awake dragons, and the official trade corridor yawns before you. The first breath of the legendary silk routes. Beneath your feet, the stone is still cool, soaking up the desert's night chill, while overhead the stars look close enough to pluck, though if you tried, some quick-fingered urchin would likely slip the Milky Way from your pocket while you reached. Historians still argue whether Chang'an's eastern gate truly bustled with as much clandestine activity as the travel diaries claim, but you can almost taste the suspense in the air, a spicy mix of cumin, camel, and apprehension. It's a mainstream fact that Emperor Wu's expansionist policies turned this city into a launch pad for trade with the West. Tributes of horses, glassware, and grape seeds all funneled out through these very boards. Yet scroll margins whisper quirkier notes, gossip about a sleeve snake society, alleged to train pickpockets whose arms stayed so still they resembled dormant serpents until striking for a purse. Maybe that's myth, maybe not. But as you catch movement in the corner of your eye, a boy flicking a tassel just to test your focus, you tug your satchel closer. Caravans cluster like drifting islands. You step toward one where red-dyed felt drapes over crates, smelling faintly of saffron. A grizzled handler with a beard plaited into 3 ropes sizes you up. "First trip?" he rasps, though his eyes are already scanning your belt knot, yeah. Knows the rookies tie sloppy. You answer with an almost confident nod. The handler smirks. "Keep your purse stitched inside your tunic," he says. "If needlework bores you, lose the coin instead." Light joke number 1, delivered with the kind of harsh amusement only experience buys. As the horizon blushes, the gate captain raises a bronze signal mirror, flashing the sun's first shards into the dawn. Somewhere behind you, a cackle erupts. 2 market girls comparing tally beads, betting on how many foreign traders will finish the day lighter. One wagers 10, the other 14. You make a private vow not to contribute to their scorecard, though odds aren't looking stellar. The convoy lurches forward, camels groan, cartwheels squeak, and you fall into step beside a young monk balancing a crate of scriptures wrapped in waxed cloth. He whispers that the sutras head to Dunhuang's caves, a sacred courier mission. Mainstream fact drop. Monks did fairy texts westward, seeding Buddhism along the trade arteries. But the monk's real concern is earthly. "These scrolls," he sighs, "fetch more silver than I've seen in 10 winters." Quirky tidbit incoming. He confesses some scribes sprinkle powdered chili between pages to deter moisture, and nosy thieves with sensitive noses. Before you can comment, a shrill cry splits the air, a merchant up ahead waving frantically, purse already vanished. First casualty, 0 miles in. You quicken your pace, cloak fluttering. A dog snarls at a rat, and the rat, undeterred, darts beneath a stack of porcelain jars that tinkle ominously. Laughter ripples. Apparently, someone's tied tiny bells to the rat's tail. Is it a prank or a burglar alarm? Historians still argue whether enterprising guards actually trained alley rats to patrol warehouses, but the bell's jingle reminds you how every creature here, human or rodent, seems wired for acquisition. Your guidebook, a flimsy bamboo slip, suggests hugging the caravan's middle ranks. Too near the front, you're exposed. Linger at the tail, and nocturnal pilferers pick you clean. So you slide between a wagon of indigo dye, so vibrant it stains the dawn a shade richer, and a cage of peacocks bound for a minor king who collects birds and, rumor claims, thieves' ears. The birds shriek, feathers brushing your sleeve like furtive fingers. Joke 2 lands softly. You tell the peacock, "Keep watch, friend. You have more eyes than I do." Its answer is a screech so disdainful it might as well mean, "You're on your own, pal." Moving west, the city noise thins. Wheat fields peak golden under the rising sun, but the road itself already shows chew marks, deep ruts, cracked flagstones, and what looks suspiciously like claw prints. A guard mutters about desert wolves stalking caravans. Wolves, sure, but you're more worried about the 2 men ahead walking too casually, hands tucked in voluminous sleeves even though the morning's grown warm. Classic pickpocket sleeve posture. Every guide swears by it. You slow, tie and retie your belt, pretending adjustment while you drop back a few paces. Callback brew. Remember that rat with bells? One of the sleeve men suddenly jerks as the faint jingle approaches. Seems the furry alarm clock returned, threading through camel legs. Startled, sleeve man overcompensates, losing his footing, and something metallic clinks onto the road. A stolen hairpin, jade-tipped, rolling to your boot. You scoop it, catch his gaze, and arch an eyebrow. Instead of confrontation, you flick the pin skyward, as if weighing its fate. His partner snatches it midair, shoots you a half bow of grudging respect, then disappears behind a mule cart. Third, joke glimmers. You mutter, "Consider it on loan. Interest rates just got sharp." Morning stretches. Dust devils chase each other and sometimes you. Sweat beads at your collar, sticky with the unmistakable tension of perpetual vigilance. A percussion of wooden clappers signals rest break near a shallow stream. You kneel, rinse your face, and feel the chilled water sting. Sweet relief. But your reflection frowns back, brows pinched, shoulders steeled. You didn't expect constant paranoia to weigh this much this soon. Mainstream fact time. Along early stretches of the silk routes, Imperial patrol stations dotted the path every 30 li, offering water, fodder, and the comforting illusion of safety. Yet written complaints preserved on bamboo, yes, bureaucrats kept receipts of misery, detail thefts even inside station walls. Quirky angle. One complaint references ghost fingers, blaming spirits instead of criminals. Historians still argue whether that phrase masked organized pickpocket rings operating under official noses, or if superstitious traders truly feared specters more than sneaks. Either way, you pat your satchel, still intact. Small victories count. The caravan readies to roll again. A handler hollers seating orders. You mount a donkey, less glamorous than a camel, but lower altitude reduces purse plummet trauma. The donkey brays like it's reading your mind. Joke 3's punchline practically writes itself. "Relax, buddy. I'm lighter than you think," you whisper, though inside you suspect you'll be lighter still by sunset. With hooves clopping, bells chiming, and deals murmured in dozens of tongues, you exit Chang'an's orbit, crossing into open scrubland where the true wild begins. Gaze back. City walls shrink, lanterns extinguish, and the gate that birthed untold fortunes now looks alarmingly thin against the horizon. Ahead, a ribbon of stone and sand, trust and treachery interwoven like the very silk you guard. The sun climbs, and with it the caravan's tempo quickens, as though every hoofbeat tries to outrun the heat that will soon slam down like an iron lid. You trudge along a narrowing lane lined by low clay farmhouses whose windows exhale the scent of sizzling peppers and star anise, Aromas so vivid they paint the air crimson and gold. It's comforting for half a heartbeat until you realize those same mouth-watering notes double as an olfactory blindfold. When the whole road smells like a pantry in overdrive, your brain files away warning whiffs, like unfamiliar sweat or oily metal into the background. Perfect for nimble hands to flourish unobserved. A merchant ahead splashes a ladleful of water over his ox, and the droplets burst into tiny prisms mid-air. They glimmer just long enough to steal your focus. Classic misdirection. Joke one sparkles. You mutter to the ox, "Nice decoy, buddy. If you see my wallet float by, moo twice." The droplet distraction works on someone. A portly spice dealer yelps that his tally beads are gone, though the string still dangles from his belt like a snake that shed its skin. Historians still argue whether tally beads evolved solely for bookkeeping or also as early theft alarms. Broken. String equals breached security. This evidence leans eerie. The string's intact knot suggests a knife as thin as rumor. Mainstream fact pause. These first 100 li of the Silk routes bristled with crop-rich villages whose surplus pepper, fennel, and cinnamon financed bigger caravans westward. Tax records, painfully meticulous, bless those bureaucrats, show that one cart of Sichuan pepper could buy 2 horses, or if you were unlucky, 30 hush payments to replace stolen stock. Quirky tidbit rides in. Travelers swore chewing a single peppercorn under the tongue dulled thirst, a DIY survival hack for the arid miles to come. You pop one experimentally. Your mouth erupts into fireworks. Joke 2 crackles as you pant. Well, at least if a thief grabs my canteen, I won't need it. My tongue's its own desert now. The lane bottlenecks between stacked hay bales. Shadows pool like ink, and in that gloom slip, figures draped head to toe in faded indigo. They shuffle sideways, palms casually brushing every belt they pass. You squeeze your satchel so tight your knuckles pale. One indigo cloak bumps you, apologizes. With syrupy politeness then vanishes. Nothing missing, but your pulse skyrockets. Callback flare. Remember the sleeve snake myth? Indigo fabric could easily hide a whole nest. You exhale, half convinced your nerves will sprout rattles. A gong tolls from a roadside shrine, announcing midday prayers. Caravanners file toward incense-clouded courtyards, hoping divine favor will do what vigilance cannot. You stall near the gate, eyeing a stone lion whose granite fangs look suspiciously worn. Superstition says touching them brings luck. The real reason for wear, you suspect, is that sleepy travelers steady themselves on the statue while cunning accomplices lift their purses. You decide admiration at a distance is holier. Inside the shrine, you kneel amid a forest of joss sticks. Spice smoke twines with sandalwood, producing a heady haze. A monk glides past, shaking a bronze alms bowl. Each clink of coin echoes louder than the last, a symphony of generosity or erosion. You drop a copper for good measure, partly piety, mostly decoy. Better thieves eye the bowl than your belt. Joke 3 tiptoes out. Is it technically charity if I'm just paying hazard insurance? The monk's serene nod could mean yes, or that he didn't hear your sarcasm over the symbols. Mainstream fact insert, religious way stations offered respite and, in theory, sanctuary from crime, but court edicts reveal frequent petitions complaining that sacred thresholds breed the profane art of stealth. Quirky underline. One edict specifically accuses a gang dubbed the Incense Picker Clique of disguising themselves as novice monks. They stole offerings, then melted into caravans pretending to be fresh pilgrims. Historians still argue whether this clique existed or was a smear by rival temples, yet the anxiety it sparked feels tangible even now. You eye every saffron robe twice. Prayer finished, you rejoin the road, which widens into rows of open stalls. Mountains of turmeric resemble sunrise in powdered form. Heaps of dried ginger crack like old parchment underfoot. Vendors bark deals, while juggling tasseled pouches. Ironic, you think, because half those pouches are probably empty by dusk. A child no taller than your waist darts through ankles, fingers like hummingbirds. You instinctively lift your satchel overhead, a maneuver that earns chuckles from guards perched on barrels. They're betting whether rookies will last another mile. You pause at a stall selling vinegar-soaked lotus root, craving its cool crunch. The vendor's ladle plunges into a clay jar, and the aroma wafts out sharp enough to water your eyes. But as you dig for coins, a soft tug whispers at your sash. You twist, too slow. The lotus vendor's assistant, balancing trays, gives an exaggerated blink of innocence. Your coin purse remains, but one loop of cord is sliced. Someone's message is clear. Next time they won't miss. You buy the lotus root anyway, reasoning that tasting something tangy will at least remind you you're alive. The lane shifts from village perimeter to open field again, and wind kicks dust devils scented. With cumin into your path, you wrap a scarf across your nose, but the pattern isn't merely decorative. The alternating stripes mark you as part of the pepper merchant subgroup, discouraging thieves who fear retribution from that guild. Mainstream fact: merchant. Guilds often used fabric codes for identity and mutual protection. Quirky detail: some guilds allegedly trained mynah birds to screech passwords. Lose the bird, lose safe lodging. You glance around. No birds here, only humans trying to whistle as casually as pickpockets pretend to yawn. Afternoon presses harder, and shadows retreat to the undersides of carts. You march in rhythmic misery. 3 steps, glance left. 2 steps, touch purse. Repeat until the pattern itself becomes a lullaby that threatens complacency. Joke 4, bonus round, bubbles up. If paranoia burned calories, I'd arrive svelte enough to model silk myself. A nearby guard snorts, nearly drops his spear. Suddenly, a commotion. A spice bale bursts open, coughs out a blizzard of ground. Clove. Visibility crashes to 0. Shouts. Hooves clatter as animals rear. Chaos. A playground for light fingers. Your satchel yanks sideways. You spin, arms wide, but grasp empty air. Panic sparks white in your chest. Then, miracle, someone shoves the bag back into your stomach. A wiry woman, face half masked by a saffron scarf, winks. Wrong mark, she says. Whether she's thief or guardian angel is unclear, but she melts into the clove fog before you can thank or accuse. When the dust settles, inventory reveals losses. 2 caravanners down a purse each, the ox handler, missing a bronze stirrup charm. You, intact, by sheer luck. Historians still argue whether such honor among thieves moments occurred, sparing travelers once to cultivate false sense of security. You resolve not to grant second chances. The by lane at last feeds into a way station courtyard paved with brick. A ragged banner reads, in faded ink, "Honest trade, honest rest." The irony is practically audible. You claim a corner, fastening your satchel beneath your rolled blanket before slumping against a wall. Evening breeze carries lingering spice. Notes, calming yet cautionary, and your eyelids droop. But sleep? Not yet. Memory replays today's peppery haze, indigo phantoms, and that half-smirked apology as coins vanished. Tomorrow promises tighter passes and darker tricks. You clutch your blanket, whispering, "Let them try." The blanket does not answer, but the distant clang of a stall being shuttered feels like a blacksmith forging fresh schemes. Morning breaks over the way station courtyard with a clang of iron ladles against bronze cauldrons, the kind of alarm clock you can't slap silent. You rise slow, shoulders threaded with dust, and untie your satchel from where you anchored it, beneath your blanket. The knot holds, small miracle, though the blanket itself now sports a neat slice along one hem, as if someone sampled the fabric quality during the night. Joke 1 yawns out. If you wanted a swatch, friend, you could have just asked. I charge reasonable rates. The caravan reorganizes in a low-hum scramble. Today's agenda: reach the first wholesale silk mart, swap bolts for coin, and pray the coin survives the hour. You swing onto your obliging donkey, dubbed Interest, because everything you load onto him mysteriously accrues the risk of disappearing, and fistfuls of morning light spill across the road like golden cloth. It would be poetic if you weren't busy counting fingers to ensure none were added or subtracted overnight. Sunbeams reveal tiny silhouettes pacing the caravan's flank. Children, maybe 8, maybe 12, all arms, elbows, and opportunistic eyes. They drift beside wagons, pretending to chase each other's shadows, yet their real game unfolds in fingertip brushes against dangling tassels. Callback ping. Remember that tassel-flicking boy at Chang'an's gate? Multiply him by 10 and subtract the innocence. Mainstream fact sidles in. Ancient gazetteers describe entire families traveling westward, the youngest members doubling as lookouts or messengers in trade deals. But quirky footnote. One Tang-era anecdote swears some kids carried hollowed gourds filled with quicklime powder. If cornered, they'd smash the gourds, blinding pursuers in a ghost-white cloud. Historians still argue whether that powder tale reflects truth or moralizing hyperbole, but you catch one boy tapping a gourd at his hip and decide the debate can continue without experimental proof. The silk mart materializes like a mirage solidified. Low stone sheds with woven reed roofs, surrounded by racks where bolts of crimson, indigo, and imperial yellow ripple in the breeze. Vendors shout prices while girls twirl sample ribbons that flash like fish scales. You dismount, tuck interest's reins around a post, and test your best utterly broke facial expression. Chin down, shoulders slumped, pockets apparently flat. It fools no one, least of all the vendor whose hawk-eyed gaze lands on your belt's frayed loop, he chuckles. You here to buy or sell, traveler? His fingers drum a counter polished by decades of copper sliding across. Trade, you reply. You produce 2 modest silk bolts, azure with cloud-white motifs. The fabric catches sunlight, shimmering like river water at noon. At once, 3 of the shadow kids appear, oohing and reaching. The vendor shoos them, but not before one fingertip grazes your purse. Reflex slams your hand down. No loss, but pulse spikes. Joke 2 zings. You tell the kid, careful, that purse bites if startled. The child grins a gap-toothed grin, as if daring you to prove it. Barter commences. You slide the bolts across. The vendor slides silver sices back. As your palm closes, a delicate pressure ghosts across your wrist, the unmistakable test pinch of a pickpocket measuring weight. You pivot, catching only a flutter of patched cloth merging into the crowd. The vendor's laugh rumbles deep. First time here, eh? Keep your silver tucked higher than hope. Mainstream fact encore. Silk marts like this operated as semi-regulated zones. Imperial inspectors audited weights and dyes to curb fraud. But theft between traders remained outside jurisdiction, according to bamboo edicts. Quirky tidbit steps in. One inspector allegedly wore sleeves lined with tiny bronze bells. Each time a thief tugged fabric, the sleeve chimed, earning the nickname Jingling Justice. No jingle today, only your own nerves. You fold the sices into a hidden inner pocket stitched last night, thanks to insomnia-induced tailoring, and pivot toward interest, who eyes you with equine skepticism. Halfway back, commotion erupts. A merchant wails, gesturing at 3 empty textile spools. In seconds, rumor blooms, ghost thieves, invisible knives, maybe even demon cats. Historians still argue whether early travelers exaggerated losses to claim tax relief. But the panic feels real enough to rattle the shed walls. Crowd density turns the mart into a slow-motion whirlpool. Hands jostle, sleeves brush, and you recall the monk's chili powder page's trick. Inspiration strikes. You draw 1 silk scrap, sprinkle crushed peppercorn, leftover tongue torture, inside, fold it neat, and slide it into your outer satchel pocket, leaving a corner temptingly exposed. A decoy. Joke 3 whispers to yourself, come on, thieves, spice up your life. Moments later, a lithe girl darts by, nabs the scrap, and vanishes between stalls. You half smile, imagining the sneeze fit about to unfold. The relief is brief. Interest brays alarm. You whirl to find two boys tugging at your donkey's saddlebag straps. One notices your glare and bolts. The other freezes, hands mid-knot. You march over, heart a drum. Instead of rage, you crouch eye level. Kid's eyes are flint and fear. Softly you ask, "Worth it?" He shrugs, defiance trembling. You slip a single copper into his palm. Earn the next one honestly, or at least quicker. Strange counselor moment, but it buys a flicker of gratitude, or maybe confusion, before he sprints off. Callback. To yesterday's almost honor, thieves testing boundaries, you testing humanity. With saddlebag secured, you guide interest to a shaded corral, where guards, official ones, not self-appointed, tag animals for departure. Their spears glitter, yet even they clutch pouches tight. Mainstream fact check. Imperial escort services could be hired for steep fees. Protection contracts recorded in bamboo strips outline penalties if guards failed. Quirky sliver, one contract. Offered partial refunds paid in pickpocket recovered items, leading to absurd chases where guards stole back stolen goods only to resell them. Historians still argue whether that system deterred crime or institutionalized it. A debate echoed in the guard captain's bored yawn as he lazily scans the crowd for trouble he'd rather not engage. You hand over a token, collect a stamped wooden chit confirming your beast is registered, and slip it into yet another pocket. You're becoming a walking matryoshka of concealment. Joke 4, bonus, slides out. By tomorrow I'll need a map to my own compartments. Noon bleeds into afternoon. Deals wind down. Bolts vanish into wagons, replaced by sacks of millet and jars of fermented bean curd. The universal road. Snacks. You snag a jar. Crack the seal. Pungent fumes wallop you. Yet the flavor, salty and soothing, grounds nerves jangling like temple bells. As you snack, you overhear two old traders debating whether the recent thefts indicate a new guild. Moving in or just hungry street gangs, their quarrel crescendos. Historians will argue about this chaos someday, one jokes. You think? They already do. The mart's outer gate creaks open for departure. Caravans bunch up like mismatched beads on a fraying string. You mount interest. The donkey flicks his ears, perhaps in solidarity, perhaps judgment. Sun slants westward, gilding every speck of dust. Ahead lies the tea stop of legend, where gossip flows as fast as jasmine brew and purses drain twice as quick. But that's tomorrow's headache. For now you roll out, silver tight against ribcage, pepper decoy inhaled by some unfortunate nose, and one child possibly pondering alternate career paths. Silk may shimmer, but side eyes see everything, and you've learned to return the gaze. Dusty miles slip beneath hooves and sandals until the smell of steeping leaves seeps into the twilight air, earthy, floral, with a faint smoky curl that reminds you of fireside stories and burnt fingers. Welcome to the famed tea stop, where kettles never cool and gossip never dies. You sense coins shivering inside every purse, already rehearsing their escape routine. Joke 1 steeps gently. If you listen closely, you can hear silver clink, a farewell aria before it's even poured. Low-slung buildings form a crooked horseshoe around a courtyard lit by lanterns shaped like lotus buds. Their pink glow paints every traveler in romantic hues, masking the grime, but not the intentions. Mainstream fact, tea pavilions like this dotted the silk routes, functioning as postal hubs, message boards, and informal stock exchanges long before anyone coined that phrase. Quirky sip. One surviving menu tablet lists butter tea with yak. Fuzz garnish, allegedly to tickle the throat and keep patrons talking. Historians still argue whether the fuzz was intentional or just lax straining. Either way, you order plain jasmine. You've had enough surprises. Inside, benches overflow. Steam wreathes the rafters, condensing into droplets that plop onto heads like unsolicited blessings. You locate a corner table. Strategic, back to wall, view of door, minimal flank exposure. Interest, the donkey settles in a lean-to out back, munching hay under lantern surveillance. You toss a stable boy a copper and a warning glance. He pockets both carefully. A crimson-robed server glides over, tray balanced with theatrical flourish. As cups land, her sleeve brushes your shoulder, a silk soft graze calculated. You catch the wrist before fingers reach your belt. The room hushes a beat, then erupts in nervy laughter. She bows, unflustered. Joke 2 whistles. Compliments on the service, but do you charge extra for the pickpocket demonstration? She winks. Professional courtesy among survivalists. Tease heat. Unfurls in your chest, loosening muscles coiled since dawn. Conversation drifts over nearby tables. Tales of tariffs, sandstorms, and a recent rumor that the emperor will issue silk stamps to certify unpilfered goods. Mainstream fact infusion. The Tang court indeed toyed with silk origin seals to curb black market laundering. Quirky swirl. Counterfeiters responded with edible rice paper replicas passengers could swallow if inspected. Historians still argue whether any survived the digestive proof of innocence, but the idea alone knots your stomach. Halfway through your cup, a minstrel troupe strikes up in the courtyard. Lute, flute, and a hand drum that thumps like a heartbeat after sprinting from thieves. Their melody, lilting yet sly, seems timed with servers swooping through pockets. Callback clink. Recall those Sogdian songbirds promised down the road. Tonight's preview demonstrates how music oils fingers. A portly trader plops opposite you, uninvited, fanning himself with an account ledger. Mind if I rest my feet? And coin, here. You shrug, wary. He orders oolong, claims he sells mirrors that don't lie, then lists their prices with practiced pride. Mirror man chats on, unaware his own purse string loosens behind him. You clear your throat, tilt your head. He twists, catches a lanky youth mid-snip. Commotion erupts. The boy bolts. Mirror man bellows. Servers feign shock. Joke 3 clatters. You quip, seems your mirrors have competition. They're not the only ones reflecting poor security. The trader's laugh is half gratitude, half embarrassment. He tightens his belt until his face matches lantern pink. Dusk deepens. Flame flies, tiny oil-wick bugs kept in glass beads, are released by staff, floating like living fairy lights. Beautiful, distracting, dangerous. You sip slower, counting lights, counting exits, counting how many sips remain before caution erodes. A scholarly-looking woman beside you unfurls scrolls depicting trade routes, branching like capillaries. She mutters theories about alternate passes bypassing tolls. Mainstream fact, scholars mapped dozens of spur roads to dodge taxes and thieves alike. Quirky note, one apocryphal detour allegedly crossed a singing sand field, whose dunes emitted flute tones when stepped on, alerting guards or bandits. Historians still argue whether acoustical sands exist here or only in travelers' ale-fueled imagination. Either way, the scholar absent-mindedly sets her inkstone atop her purse. Good strategy. Refreshed kettles arrive unasked, a house policy, or a subtle upsell. You touch cup rim, still safe, yet your satchel feels lighter. Panic flickers. You yank it forward, inventory. Silver sices. Present. Peppercorn pouch? Okay. Hidden wooden chit. Missing. That stable registration protects both donkey and legal passage. Without it, any patrol could confiscate interest as unverified livestock. Pulse spikes like drum beats outside. Yo-neo. Scan the room. Who would steal paperwork? Answer. A rival caravan short on permits. You recall a smug man earlier flashing multiple chits like playing cards. He's gone now, leaving only the scent of clove smoke. Decision time. Cause a scene. Or mount a covert retrieval. You choose subtlety. Rising, you drift toward the side corridor where tobacco haze curls. Behind bead curtains, private tea rooms line up like nesting boxes. You press ear to each door until muffled chuckles and coin clinks align with memory of clove smug. You slide, the door aside a crack. Inside, the chit sits on the table, being admired under lamplight. Two men debate which official seal to scrape and replace. Historians still argue whether forgery or outright theft accounted for more lost chits. Tonight, both vie for top honors. You need a distraction. Call back to Pepper? No, already used. Instead, you lift a lacquered serving tray from a passing server, tip candles so wax splatters sizzling on a paper lantern overhead. Flame roars. Patrons scream. Smoke alarms. Well, frantic humans rush buckets. In the confusion, you slip into the room, palm the chit, swap in a folded napkin, and vanish like steam through roof rafters. Joke 4. The bonus caffeine shot. Bruise. As you whisper to yourself, "Tea's on the house," and apparently so is larceny insurance. Back in the main hall, chaos downgrades to grumbling calm. No one links you to the lantern mishap. You settle your bill with a silver shaving. Overpaying buys goodwill, and crucially, silence. Outside, night wind kisses sweat-slick skin. Interest brays greeting. Stable boy hands reins, unknowing hero of your regained permit. Mainstream fact. For the road. Night travel on silk routes officially discouraged due to bandits and, yes, pickpockets stalking drowsy riders. Yet caravans often pushed on under moonlight to hit distant wayposts before competitors. Quirky curtain call. Some swore moonlit sand rendered thieves' shadows extra long, making them easier to spot. Historians still argue whether lunar elongation truly helped, or if hopeful merchants just needed a bedtime myth. You glance at your own shadow, stretching ahead like a vigilant partner, and decide belief is protection enough. Lanterns fade behind you. The road ahead shimmers silver beneath a nearly full moon, each stone echoing with earlier laughter, spilled wax, the soft swish of a crimson sleeve. You pat the reclaimed chit, tighten every strap, whisper goodnight to mirrored trader as memory, and guide interest westward. Sleep will come later, under colder stars. But for now, the tepid thrill of evasion keeps eyelids wide, and pockets, astonishingly, still yours. Dawn sidles up shyly, brushing rose gold across the sky as you crest a bend locals call Jade Market Rise. Legend claims the first rays here bounce off raw jade pebbles just right, illuminating thieves before they strike. A geological conscience, if you will. You squint, half hoping that glimmer will spotlight anyone eyeing your purse. Joke 1 glints. If rocks could rat out pickpockets, I'd start a quarry security firm tomorrow. Below, the market unfurls, hundreds of mats laid on packed earth. Each mat a galaxy of green, apple skin, moss, sea foam, and that coveted translucent variety resembling frozen dew. Merchants squat like patient frogs, croaking offers while customers crouch opposite, both sides pretending not to notice circulating magpies in human form. Mainstream fact. Gansu's jade traveled thousands of miles, fueling imperial carvings and, ironically, pawn shops when fortunes fell. Quirky chip. One travel diary swears certain stones were tested by tapping them to an ear. If they sang like distant chimes, they were pure. If they whispered, they were cursed to attract thieves. Historians still argue whether acoustic jade lore stems from mineral density or marketing flair. You tether interest near a water trough, double-loop the rope, then thread a tiny brass bell through the knot. Rat alarm inspiration upgraded. The donkey eyes you, mildly offended at ornamental burden. You pat his neck. Paranoia accessorizes, buddy. He chews hay with stoic disdain. Venturing into the jade maze, you adopt the sideways shuffle of seasoned traders, elbows in, pouch hand over sash, gaze scanning low and high. Yet within 2 steps, your senses drown in shimmer. Stones glow, as though lit from within, and vendors fan them with peacock feathers to coax extra sparkle. Hypnotic stuff, exactly what nimble fingers bank on. Callback ting. Remember the lotus vendor's assistant slicing purse strings? This crowd is twice as sharp, half as apologetic. You pause at a mat where slabs resemble mint-flavored ice. The seller, face seamed like baked clay, invites you to hold one. It's cool, heavy, alluring. While he rhapsodizes about imperial seal quality, Another customer edges close. She carries a toddler slung in patterned cloth, adorable decoy. Tiny hands reach for your belt, disguised as baby curiosity. Reflexively, you waggle your jade slab like a rattle. Clack, clack. The toddler giggles, but mother's eyes flash annoyance. Joke 2 whispers, "Early start on career training?" You glide sideways. Transaction aborted. Mainstream fact glide in. Pickpocketing families were not uncommon. Legal codes even specified reduced penalties for minors under 14 caught stealing. Practical loophole for criminal clans. Quirky nugget. One statute ordered repeat child. Offenders to memorize 12 Confucian virtues aloud in Market Square. Spectators wagered on who'd forget righteousness first. Historians still argue whether public shaming curbed crime or provided thieves notoriety mileage. Either way, you silently rehearse virtues yourself, just in case. Further on, a young man demonstrates lapidary skill, thread-sawing jade beads with horsehair coated in quartz grit. Crowd circles, mesmerized by sawing rhythm. You edge behind them, but tension prickles. Perfect storm of distraction. Indeed, a soft tug at your back pocket. You spin, catching a wrist thin as bamboo. The culprit, a girl perhaps 15, freezes. Instead of shouting, you stare level. Recognition flickers in her eyes. You're the traveler who spared coin to a boy yesterday. She belongs to same crew. You release her gently, slide a peppercorn into her palm. Payment or curse? Her smirk suggests both. She vanishes. Jade seller cantillates prices. 1 saisi for a thumb-sized piece. 3 for a dragon-carved pendant. You consider souvenirs, but burden equals bait. Instead, you buy a sliver with a natural hole. Thread it onto your belt like an amulet. A vendor jokes it wards off evil eyes. Joke 3 answers, "Good. Now I just need something to ward off evil fingers." A bell clangs. Market guards commence random purse inspections, ostensibly to root out counterfeit coin. In truth, rumor says they skim a verification fee. You cue, heart doing acrobatics. Your hidden pockets feel suddenly obvious. The guard pats down cloaks, checks purse seams. When he reaches you, his gaze lands on jade amulet. He taps it, snorts appreciation, inspection swift, no fee demanded. Perhaps talisman works, or the god's cousin carved it. Historians still argue whether such amulets served spiritual or social capital. Today, you chalk it up to luck. While gathering reinforcements of dried persimmon for the road, you overhear traders debate a mysterious newcomer known only as Green Fox, alleged mastermind behind a network of pickpocket cells spanning 3 provinces. Some claim Green Fox is a noble's disgraced daughter. Others swear he's a eunuch spy funding private revenge. Mainstream fact, bandit leaders often adopted animal monikers, Black Viper, Red Sparrow, to muddy identities. Quirky detail, a yai. Tang police report references a thief dubbed Left Shoe who always fled hopping on right foot to mislead trackers. Historians still argue whether such eccentricities were real tactics or storyteller embellishments. Either way, mention of Green Fox hovers like incense. You inhale caution. Lunch hour sends vendors to noodle stalls, leaving mats minimally guarded. Theft spikes correspondingly. A sudden wail. An elderly man discovers his prized sky jade chunk swapped for dyed glass. Panic splashes through crowd. Sellers clutch wares. Buyers clutch empty air. Guards scramble, but culprits disperse like dandelion seeds. In uproar, you shepherd interest toward exit lane, aiming to leave before blame net widens indiscriminately. At the gate, officials stamp departure ledgers. You present your travel docket, the chit still safe. They wave you onward, but not before eyeing your donkey bell with amusement. One mutters to colleague, "Next season, we'll all wear bells." Joke 4, bonus jingle, rings in your head. Trend-setting through paranoia, who knew? You descend Jade Market Rise, pockets intact, spirit bruised but unbeaten. Behind, the Market's green glimmer fades, replaced by raw cliff-streaked ochre. Ahead waits Gansu Gorge, a natural funnel where whispers say phantom pickpockets drift like cliff shadows. You straighten in saddle, fingers brushing your new amulet. Stone cools your pulse, reminds you vigilance is precious, and fortunately non-taxable. As afternoon sun tilts, a caravan trumpet blares regroup call. You merge with column, dust pluming under marching feet. Someone starts a travel song about outsmarting bandits. Chorus laughter suggests irony overdose. Yet you hum along, every note weaving into memory tapestry. Pepper burn, tea house wax, toddler decoy, Jade's cold kiss. Each episode a stitch securing your purse, your pride, and perhaps a fledgling legend of your own. One step ahead of Green Fox, 2 steps shy of serenity. The road buckles into Gansu Gorge like a ribbon pinched between thumb and forefinger, cliffs rearing on either side so close you could almost spread your arms and touch both walls, if you dared let go of your purse for that long. The stone faces loom, streaked with iron-red veins resembling dried blood in moonlight, though right now only harsh afternoon sun scorches the path. Echoes ricochet, camel grunts, wagon wheels, and somewhere up the ravine a hawk's cry that sounds disturbingly like laughter. You tighten your grip on interest's reins and on your nerves. Joke one carves itself from the rock. Welcome to nature's pickpocket alley. Please keep all limbs, coins, and illusions of safety inside. The caravan at all times. Mainstream fact wedges in. Stretches like this gorge were prime ambush sites, funneling caravans into predictable single file. The Tang government installed beacon towers above, relaying smoke signals if raiders struck. Quirky sidebar. One weather-beaten. Inscription claims locals trained goats to carry message slips up near vertical ledges. Cliff mail, if you will. Historians still argue whether the goats delivered warnings or merely ate them en route, but you watch a shaggy silhouette hop impossibly high and decide the postal service could do worse. Shadow length doubles as you penetrate the canyon. Wagons. Clang against protruding boulders, sparks flying like tiny fireflies in reverse. Those sparks draw eyes, and eyes invite hands. A pair of lean youths lounge atop a rock shelf, whittling sticks with far too much focus on the caravan below. Callback. Shiver. You've met their ilk since Chang'an, the sleeve snake apprentices maybe. One drops his carving. Wood skitters. Distraction tactic. Below, a merchant follows it with his gaze. Fatal curiosity. A third figure, almost invisible in mottled cloak, slips from crevice to wagon tail, fingers dancing along tarp edges. You want to shout, but canyon acoustics amplify everything. If you accuse and miss, you mark yourself as target. Instead, you tug interest's bridle, maneuver behind the merchant's cart, and clear your throat with exaggerated gusto. The cloaked figure freezes. You arch an eyebrow, then gesture subtly to the merchant's exposed chest pocket. Recognition flickers. The thief retreats into rock like a lizard at dusk. Joke 2 mutters beneath breath. I charge reasonable rates for unsolicited security audits. The narrowest point appears. 2 boulders creating a stone arch barely camel high. Guards cluster, spears out, wagons inch through like thread in needle. Here, legend says, phantom pickpockets work without touching. A mere brush of canyon breeze and valuables vanish. Mainstream fact, sudden dust devils swirl off heated rock, blinding travelers just long enough for real thieves to dart in. Quirky. Detail. Travelers tied small paper windmills to their belts. If wind stilled abruptly, they suspected ambush and clenched possessions. Historians still argue whether windmills deterred criminals or simply provided whimsical souvenirs. Either way, you fashion a quick pinwheel from parchment scrap, stick it in your sash, and feel marginally ingenious. As you pass under the arch, wind hushes, as if held breath. Your pinwheel stills, instinct screams. You pivot. A boy dangles overhead, suspended by rope looped around a stalactite knob, lowering like spider on silk. His fingertips hover toward your saddlebag latch. Eyes meet. Time stutters. Then a sudden mule bray shatters silence. The boy startles, swings wide, rope scraping rock. You seize saddlebag strap, yank it forward. He scrambles up, vanishing topside. Joke 3 gasps out, "Spider boy, you missed the web. Next time bring a bigger net." Caravan crawls free of arch. Sunlight. Floods again. Pinwheel whirling frantically now. Heart rate mimics it. A guard captain rides up, asks if trouble brewed. You recount Spider Boy attempt. Captain spits a curse, says a gang called the Cliff Imps recruits acrobatic orphans. Mainstream fact nod. Historical records indeed mention child climbers used in gorge heists. Quirky flourish. One edict proposed greasing cliff walls with rendered yak fat to foil climbers, scrapped due to odor complaints. Historians still argue whether smell or moral outrage killed the idea. Your nose votes odor. By late afternoon, the gorge widens into a shale plateau, where caravanners set temporary camp. Fires spark, kettle lids rattle, and weary jokes bloom like hardy canyon flowers. You unroll blanket beside a soot-dark boulder shaped oddly like a crouched monk, comforting company. While interest delves into a mesh bag of barley, you examine today's potential damages: purse intact, saddlebag safe, pinwheel heroic. Only loss: half your nerves and 3 hours of life expectancy. A wandering storyteller appears, cloaked in patchwork silk, likely lifted from a dozen inattentive bolts. He offers tales for coins. You pay a sliver of silver. He recounts the myth of Phantom Pouch, a spectral purse that leaps from owner to owner, forever full for the thief, forever empty for the rightful. Quirky note nested. Some swear hearing. Faint jingling at night, heralding its shift. Historians still argue whether cautionary metaphor or actual pocket-sized poltergeist. You tuck silver deeper, half afraid of spectral audits. Night spills ink across the plateau. Stars salt the sky, mirrored faintly in jade amulet at your belt. Fires shrink to coals, murmurs fade into snores. You settle against monk boulder, cape over shoulders, one hand on satchel. Echoes of canyon tricks linger, spider boys, goat mail, phantom pockets. Joke 4, soft as embers. If thieves haunt dreams, at least they can't pickpocket thoughts, though they'll try. Yet even in tension, fatigue knits eyelids. Before surrendering to sleep, you note a final mainstream fact. Tang patrols reputedly swept this plateau at dawn, offering temporary reprieve. Quirky aftertaste. Travelers claimed patrol whistles scared away not bandits, but mischievous desert sprites that tangled reins. Historians still argue, of course, yet you decide any whistle heralding safety is welcome. Your last waking image, pinwheel, still turning lazily in night breeze, catching starlight like a tiny galaxy. Reminder that vigilance, like wind, must never still too long in these lands. You breathe deep, tasting shale dust and lingering pepper, and slip into dreams where jade rocks truly sing, and maybe, just maybe, pockets stay pleasantly, impossibly full. The next morning greets you with a shrill patrol whistle slicing the dawn, the plateau's promised reprieve. Guards in lacquered lamellar armor trot past, their horses stamping frost dust into silver sparks. For once, you let your grip on the satchel ease, just a notch, indulging the illusion that steel helms equal safety. Joke 1 cracks the chill. Finally, someone else's nerves on duty discount. First watch free. Replacements cost extra. Within an hour, the terrain softens, shale giving way to sandy flats speckled with tamarisk shrubs. All talk now points to Dunhuang, the desert oasis city whose name travelers pronounce like an exhale of relief. You picture its crescent spring, its camel fairs, and importantly, its cave-dwelling monks, famed for both murals and unsolicited wisdom about local thievery. Mainstream fact rolls in. The Mogao Caves near Dunhuang House, thousands of Buddhist wall paintings commissioned by merchants seeking spiritual insurance on risky journeys. Quirky splash. One 10th century graffito scrawled between serene bodhisattvas reads, "Lost purse, 3 strings copper. May the next thief find enlightenment." Historians still argue whether monks tolerated such notes or merely missed a spot during preservation. By noon, oasis greenery rises on the horizon like a mirage that stubbornly refuses to vanish. Interest's ears perk. Your own spirits inflate at the scent of damp reeds. Approaching gates, you pass a guard post where officials collect caravan manifests. You present donkey chit, jade amulet gleaming. The clerk stamps your slip with red, cinnabar ink, mumbling, "Beware robe sleeve robbers. They flourish during festival week." You nod, already rehearsing defensive folds of your own sleeves. Inside Dunhuang's walls, bazaars sprawl beneath shaggy willow awnings. Silk banners flutter, announcing dusk markets where painted lanterns swap day's glare for candle-warm glow. Yet your quarry lies outside the bustle, the caves tucked into sandstone cliffs east of town. You set off along a dusty pilgrimage path, shared by monks, merchants, and hopeful pickpockets selling faux prayer beads. Callback ting, you remember chili powder scriptures. Clearly holy men grasp practical security. Stone staircases ascend the cliff face like ribs. At Cave 12, a monk draped in saffron and indigo invites you to store shoes and worldly concerns at the entrance. You secure purse beneath double-knotted sash, a worldly concern you refuse to shed, and step inside cool gloom smelling of cedar smoke and pigment. Wall murals bloom under lamplight. Celestial musicians hover above desert caravans, an ancient pop-up storybook celebrating commerce and karma. The monk's voice, soft as sliding sand, narrates scenes. He pauses at a depiction of slender figures in voluminous robes, hands meeting in exaggerated sleeves. Artists painted the warning, "Watch the sleeves." Inside hides desire, he murmurs. Mainstream fact _ robe sleeve robbers used. Wide cuff interiors as instant purses, slipping lifted goods up arms with a flick. Quirky detail, some lined cuffs with waxed paper to muffle coin clink. Others sewed miniature drawstrings for quick cuff closure. Historians still argue whether Tang sumptuary laws restricting sleeve width aimed at fashion or felony. You move deeper. Echoes of your footsteps mingle with centuries-old prayers. A second monk offers a cup of barley tea, hospitality, but also conversation starter. He confesses thieves occasionally masquerade as novice painters, sneaking into caves to filch pilgrims. Donations stored in niches. Temple adopted countermeasure. A roster of real novices memorize mural details. Guards quiz them at random. Joke 2 drips. Art appreciation pop quiz. Fail, and you forfeit both coin and exit privileges. Leaving the cave complex near sunset, you find courtyard buzzing. Monks sell protective talisman papers inked with 4 armed guardians. You buy 2, slip 1 inside satchel flank pocket, visible yet worthless to deter deeper digging, and pocket the other near heart. Call it spiritual insurance with deductible prepaid. Back in town, dusk market ignites. Stalls brim with lamp-lit dumplings, sugar haw sculptures, and bolt ends of silk shimmering like melted twilight. Lanterns, round, rabbit-shaped, dragon-tailed, bob overhead, projecting a mottled glow perfect for mischief. Pulse quickens. Sleeve watch protocol engaged. You fold your own sleeves tightly, binding cuffs with twine. Fashion, faux pas. Safety. Pro move. Crowds thicken near a storyteller platform where actors reenact Journey to the West. Monkey King somersaults, audience gasps, pockets loosen. You angle sideways, scanning. There, a man gliding through spectators, robe sleeves swaying suspiciously. His hands remain hidden, but fabric bulges asymmetrically. You weave closer, pretending to marvel at Monkey's golden staff. Robe sleeve dips near a distracted pilgrim's belt. Flick of wrist, purse gone, swallowed whole by cloth. Slight so clean even the victim smiles at fireworks overhead. You trail thief toward an alley strung with prayer flags. He ducks behind, drying laundry, extracting loot into a smaller pouch. You clear throat. He spins, eyes fox bright. Instead of alarm, you extend the talisman paper. Trade, you suggest. Confusion flickers. Joke 3 glides. Guardian gods for guardian cash. Limited time offer. He barks a laugh, flicks talisman aside. Negotiation failed. He darts. You chase. Alley twists. Spills into back courtyard where vats of indigo die steep. Thief vaults a vat. You follow, splashing dye. Blue stains bloom across boots and hems. Grabbing a bamboo pole, he swings, aiming to knock you back. You dodge, snag purse from his open cuff mid-arc. Reverse pickpocket, but pole smacks vat rim. Tipping indigo tide. Cascading dye engulfs thief head to toe. Turning robe midnight. He stumbles, blind. Monks, alerted by clamor, appear. One rings handbell, usually reserved for evening chants. Guards converge. Mainstream fact cameo. Dunhuang courts process theft swiftly. Petty thieves often sentenced to flogging or labor fortifying oasis walls. Quirky tidbit. Some culprits offered to paint cave guardians as penance. Legend credits a few remarkable murals to repentant robbers. Historians still argue redemption rate, but tonight's blue-robed bandit may audition. You return purse to grateful pilgrim, who presses a handful of dates into your dyed palms. Sticky gratitude, but welcome. Guards thank you, ironically advising. Caution. You reply with half-smile. Caution is your middle given name by now. Night deepens. You purchase steamed buns stuffed with sweet red bean, savoring warmth. Joke 4, bonus round, mumbles through mouthful. Red bean on blue boots, fashion statement or evidence exhibit. Street musicians pluck ruin melodies mellow enough to soften stiff shoulders. Yet vigilance hums beneath every note. Shadows still cradle hands itching for coin. Before sleep, you visit a tiny shrine behind your hostel. Burn incense for safe passage. Curling smoke carries prayers skyward, also alerts any lurking robber that you're presently distracted. You pivot often, incense stick brandished like sword. A cat yawns, unimpressed. Back in dormitory, you tie satchel string to bed frame, slip talisman against wood. Murals' stern deities glare from memory, their many arms ready to swat grasping sleeves. You fall asleep to hushed chanting from distant caves, a lullaby woven with warnings. Watch the sleeves, guard the heart, keep humor polished like jade under lantern light. And as dreams unfurl, you half expect those painted guardians to step off sandstone and patrol the corridors, cuffs empty, eyes sharp, exactly the allies a road-weary traveler needs. Dawn slips through the hostel shutters in slim, dusty bars, sketching prison-stripe patterns across your blanket. You blink awake beneath that accidental artwork and give the bedside knot a testing tug. The satchel still lashed to the bed frame, talisman crisp and unmolested. Small victories feel like banquet feasts these days. You work a grin loose, joke 1 stretches. Either the gods or the thieves took the night off. I'll tip whichever service left the "Do Not Disturb" sign. Outside, Dunhuang yawns early. Vendors in quilted vests unfurl awnings. Camel bells jingle welcome. A monk you recognize from yesterday's cave tour stands near the gate, handing out scraps of parchment inked with a looping trail and a single phrase. Desert detour, swift, safe, mostly. Mainstream fact drifts in with the cold air. Multiple caravan routes spider-webbed west of Dunhuang. Some shaving days off travel. By skirting dunes yet carrying reputations for rogue toll collectors. Quirky twist. Legends speak of a laughing mirage that appears at dawn on those detours. An oasis reflection that cackles like a drunk uncle and lures greedy travelers into endless sand. Historians still argue whether the auditory hallucination stems from wind over dune ridges or overactive guilt. Your planned road uses the official human pass, but the monk's map tempts. Fewer checkpoints mean fewer pickpockets disguised as inspectors. Also fewer patrols if something goes sideways. You rub the jade amulet, coin flip oracle, then decide on compromise. Follow the detour only as far as ancient watchtower ruins, reputed to host a pop-up bazaar every third day. Rumor claims Green Fox fences loot there. Callback prickle. Unfinished business with that mystery mastermind could end better face to face. Before departure, you buy desert gear, a hooded gauze, veil to keep sand off teeth and, conveniently, conceal your facial tells, water gourds reinforced with braided leather, and a pair of ankle bells. Yes, more bells, joke 2 jingles. One man's paranoia is another man's percussion ensemble. Bells tied at ankle should tattle if someone tugs boot money sleeves. Again, caravan slimmed to 6 merchants and 2 mercenary guards sets off. Interest lumbers steady under lighter packs. Main cargo now dates, talisman souvenirs, and a bundle of indigo-stained laundry serving as both evidence trophy and burglar. Repellent? Who'd snatch a saccharine-smelling dye-soaked robe? Sand track soon steals all greenery. Dunes undulate like frozen waves, crests gleaming beneath infant sun. Veil muffles wind hiss, but not beating heart when a swallowed silence suggests watchers. Mid-morning, you spot the watchtower. Crumbling, adobe husk perched on low ridge, looking less like guardian of empire, more like toothpick between lion jaws. Yet colorful tarps sprout around it, bazaar alive. Merchants corral camels, set carpets atop sand. You tether interest, ankle bells. Chiming. A glassmaker demonstrates turning quartz sand to baubles in portable kiln. Heat so fierce it blurs air. Crowd small yet diverse. Sogdian trader with silver beard. Turkic nomad women peddling felt boots. A Chinese scholar balancing abacus in sleeve. You note sleeve dimensions warily. Stall 3 features trinkets suspiciously familiar. Prayer bead. Strings identical to those nicked yesterday. A lacquered hairpin bearing monastery motif. And heartbeat skip. A carved jade pinwheel charm. Miniature of your paper windmill defense. Vendor hides eyes under straw hat. You lean in. Where'd you source these beauties? You ask, tone breezy. He answers with shrug and vague, Western estates. You raise jade amulet level with his face. Recognition flickers. His jaw sets. Could he be a Green Fox envoy? Mainstream fact insert. Fencing rings often operated via shifting desert markets to stay ahead of patrols. Quirky nibble. Some fences dyed their eyebrows to match caravan flags for code. Hat vendor sports faint green tint above right brow. Historians still argue code validity, but your pulse votes yes. You propose trade, a weighty silver syce for that jade pinwheel. He hesitates. You sweeten with indigo robe scrap, symbolic trophy. Curiosity wins. He agrees. As exchange finishes, you grip his wrist lightly. Green Fox sends regards. You whisper, bluffing. Shock widens his pupils. Bingo. He hisses for you to walk out a ring of stalls at noon. The wind will carry instructions. Noon's glare bleaches color. Bazaar tents ripple. You circle edge, ankle bells muted by soft sand. A gust rasps. Within it, distinct bamboo flute notes swirl, shaping 5-tone melody used by watchtower beacons centuries earlier. Message. You recall a guidebook. 2 rising, 2 falling, 1 hold. Signal for parley. You follow sound behind ruins, find a shaded crevice where sandstone angles out of sun. There stands a tall figure cloaked in shimmering green silk. Vulpine. Mask concealing face. Green Fox in the silk. Voice, low and androgynous, greets. You've tracked my echoes. Why? You state truth. Desire to travel unharassed, maybe strike a chord. Joke 3 slips. I offer a mutually beneficial cease pick. Fox laughs softly, sound like spoon-tapping porcelain. She, the timbre edges feminine, replies that imbalance drives theft. Wealthy caravans flaunt excess while desert folk starve. Pickpocketing is taxation of the overlooked. Mainstream fact parallels. Tang frontier taxes indeed rose sharply, squeezing locals. Quirky shard. Some villages issued theft permits to youths, limiting them to 1 purse per market day, ostensibly to teach stealth and support elders. Historians still argue morality, but policy fits the Fox ethos. Negotiation unfurls. You propose sharing caravan surplus. Dates, bean paste, even dyed robe cloth, in exchange for Fox's network granting your group hands-off status. She counters, add a water gourd per guard checkpoint, deliver to her couriers. Deal struck. Sealed by mutual wrist clasp, her cuffs empty, reassuring. She gifts you token, a jade bead carved into fox head, drilled at mouth. Whistle if pact broken, she says. Sound will summon my shadows, either to aid or avenge. You tuck bead beside amulet, pockets now charm heavy. Joke 4, bonus, quips inwardly. At this rate my belt weighs more in symbolism than silver. Parting, she warns of nightfall mirage near Singing Dune Ridge. Auditory trap. Keep caravan tight. Follow star pair nicknamed Pickpocket's eyes, because they watch while you sleep. Steps retraced, bazaar already folding when you emerge, Fox hidden once more in shifting sands. Afternoon trek resumes along ridgeline. You distribute surplus as promised to 3 ragged children trailing caravan. Fox Scouts. Not your concern now. Merchants grumble over charity tax until you recount Spider Boy incident and robe sleeve robbers. Suddenly water gourds feel cheap. Insurance. Sun sinks. Dusk turns dunes violet. The wind picks up carrying faint laughter. Mirage. Caravanners stiffen. You recall star guide, scan sky. Find twin glints low east. Pickpocket's eyes. You redirect column, veering just south of Echoing giggles. Laughter fades. Saved by folklore and fresh diplomacy. Camp set beneath Ridge Lee. You hang whistle bead around neck, ankle bells by blanket edge as ad hoc alarm chimes. Dreams threaten to spool, but you scribble route notes, fox terms, and mural. Memory into pocket journal. Historians still argue truths, but your ledger may tilt scales. Finally you lie back, sand cool under blanket, breeze threading veil hood flapping by your side. Stars wheel, and for first night in many, hope outweighs dread. Your purse protected by pact, your road tomorrow guided by twin eyes above. And if anything breaches camp, those bells, those charms, and that sly alliance should jingle the warning. Well before desperate fingers close around hard-earned peace, the caravan stirs before dawn, silhouettes against a slate-blue horizon where the last stars fade like pinpricks through thick cloth. You stretch, ankle bells chiming soft confirmation that nobody borrowed them overnight. Packed intact. Joke 1, yawns. Nothing says restful sleep like waking to find all your belongings exactly where you left them. Truly the height of desert luxury. Today's leg skirts the ominously named Singing Dune Ridge, a place travelers swear hums with music, whenever sand slides underfoot. Mainstream fact joins the chorus. Scientists, centuries later, will label it booming sand phenomenon, vibration of grains producing a low drone. Quirky embellishment from Tang guide scrolls claims the dunes sometimes mimic human voices, calling out personal names to lure wanderers astray. Historians still argue whether those voices were wind tricks or thieves throwing sound, but you tighten veil just in case your name drifts on the breeze. You lead interest to a water station, where half-frozen troughs reflect first light. Fox's token bead dangles at your chest, glinting green. A passing youth, one of yesterday's surplus recipients, bows, tapping finger to his eyebrow in silent salute, then disappears behind supply crates. Callback spark, the eyebrow code. Network already at work, shadowing but not stripping. Comforting. Vaguely. Caravan leader, a broad-shouldered Sogdian named Parviz, convenes breakfast council over bowls of rice porridge flecked with dates. Your donation, now communal. He proposes pushing hard to reach the dried riverbed by night. Fewer thieves there, more jackals, but jackals haven't learned pickpocketing yet. You nod assent, offering intel about booming sands. Stay close, keep chatter down, voices bounce. Strangely, spawning phantom footsteps. Joke 2 steams off the porridge. If you hear yourself arguing with thin air, at least negotiate better terms than last time. March begins. Early sunlight paints dunes apricot gold. Within minutes, the Isai ridge hums low, a distant temple gong. The sound sets camel nerves on edge. One animal bawls, threatening to topple cargo. You walk beside the beast, palm on its neck, murmuring nonsense lullabies. Hum intensifies, sliding up the scale until, bizarrely, you catch snippets resembling speech, your mother tongue, then Parvises, then a Turkic phrase from rearmost guards. Group halts, spines prickled. Mirage voices, whispers a merchant, or foxes watchers. Mainstream fact, caravans historically reported identical multilingual illusions near such dunes. Quirky footnote, one diary insists reciting, multiplication tables drown the voices, mathematics trumping mischief. Historians still argue acoustics, but you test the theory, counting trade profits aloud. 1 psi equals 10 strings, 10 strings equal. The ridges echo back only your own arithmetic, slightly warped. Laughter fizzles, the illusion breaks. Success. You encourage group to chant inventory lists. Chorus of ledger entries rolls along, weird yet effective noise canceller. By midday, heat scalds. You pause beneath a rock lip to refill gourds. There, half buried, lies a battered copper seal bearing imperial dragon, valuable yet unmistakably stolen. Evidence that sleeve robbers passed this way. You pocket it carefully, planning to hand over in next garrison and earn goodwill credit. Joke 3 whispers, one man's contraband is another man's surcharge waiver. Just beyond ridge, terrain flattens into cracked clay pans striated with white salt veins. Ghost of ancient river. Mirage shimmer already dances across surface. Caravan spreads out, distance safer now. Yet wide openness gifts thieves new tactic, the sand crawl. You spot first ripple, shape half submerged, inching like a patient turtle. Shout warning. Parviz signals archers perched atop camels. Arrow lands before crawler. Figure pops up, throwing hands high. It's a scrawny teen wearing patchwork scarf. Empty-handed, claiming thirst. Could be scout for larger band. You recall. Packed. You brandish fox bead whistle. Blow once. Note emerges sharp as desert hawk cry. Instantly, 2 cloaked riders crest a dune, green scarves fluttering. They approach crawler, exchange brief sign language, escort him away. Alliance tested, delivered. Caravan members eye you with mixture of awe and wariness. You shrug modestly. Inside, heart drums like festival drum. Historians will argue whether diplomacy ever tamed lawless sand. Your anecdote adds a footnote. Afternoon. Wind accelerates, flinging fine grit that turns sky amber. Visibility drops, silhouettes smear. You direct travelers into staggered chevron, close enough to see ankle bells of neighbor. Gusts moan, high-pitched now. Singing ridge carries encore even here. Voices whisper again, this time begging, turn back, turn back. Parviz mutters curses, orders march onward. You respond by reciting multiplication tables backwards. Humor. Math meets exorcism. Group follows, snickering through scarves. Scamper of unseen feet parallels on left flank, wind or prowlers. You keep fox bead ready. Toward dusk, storm abates, unveiling a row of half-collapsed mud-brick watch huts. Good enough for overnight shelter. Caravan funnels inside, walls block wind but not scent of centuries-old dust. You rig ankle bells across doorway like primitive tripwire. Others mimic with canteen lids, spoon clusters, an orchestra of potential alarms. Joke 4 rings. If pickpockets sneak in tonight, at least we'll greet them with the world's worst lullaby. As fires spark, you inventory satchel, still intact. Hidden Psyses, jade amulet, copper seal, monk talisman, fox whistle. Plus, rogue grains of salt now seasoning pocket lining. Parviz ambles over, offers shared flask of fermented mare's milk, acquired through barter with Turkic herders. Tart fizz jolts taste buds awake. He thanks you for earlier echo counter magic and for mysterious dune diplomacy. You deflect credit to mathematics and foxes, equally mystical to him. Mainstream fact is fire crackles, fermented mare's milk, kumis, widely traded on steppe roots, believed to sharpen night vision. Quirky nugget, some merchants rubbed kumis on coin purses, swearing the sour musk repelled thieves. Historians still argue efficacy, but Parviz dribbles a capful onto his pouch with solemn blessing. You consider it, decide sand-flavored brandy odor is already deterrent enough. Night settles silver on clay flats. Stars re-emerge, pickpocket's eyes now higher in east, steadfast. Your bells at door chime faintly as wind tests entrance but finds no purchase. In that hush, you pull journal, jot experiences, multiplication charm, sandcrawler rescue, copper seal discovery. Future historians may dissect motives, but they'll know one truth. Survival depended as much on wit and whimsy as on steel. As eyelids droop, hum from singing dune ridge subsides, replaced by distant jackal yips. You trust packed guardians out there in dark and in here, acoustic math trick and ankle bell choir. Sleep comes, light, alert, one ear tuned to the faint possibility of jingling. But heart rests heavier with earned calm. Today voices failed to steer you off course, thieves' respected treaty, and your possessions, for the moment, remain your own. First light arrives as a pale smear across the clay pan, but it's the clang-clang of your improvised spoon and bell doorway alarm that jerks everyone awake. You spring up, palm on satchel, eyes darting. The culprit, a skinny desert fox nosing. For crumbs, retreating now with offended dignity. Relief exhales from the whole hut. Joke one rattles drowsily. Our security system catches everything. Thieves, jackals, 5-pound foxes. Monthly fee, just perpetual paranoia. Breakfast. Is dried persimmon and hardtack softened in kumis, an acquired texture. While you chew, Parviz reveals today's challenge. The old tar pitch pass, a narrow basalt gorge whose floor oozes natural bitumen in midday heat. Boots stick, wheels seize, and rumor says pickpockets carry greased sandals to glide over like ice skaters. Mainstream fact, ancient geographers indeed recorded black rivers of seeped tar along this stretch. Quirky tidbit, locals harvested pitch as torch fuel, claiming flames smelled of licorice. Historians still argue whether the scent was pitch or nearby anise shrubs catching fire. You pack up, whistle bead tucked safe, ankle bells restrapped, and set out. Air already ripples with heat mirages, though sun barely cleared horizon. Gradually, the ground darkens to glossy charcoal. Shallow puddles of viscous tar glimmer. Interest snorts, hooves reluctant. You wrap his feet with spare cloth, creating disposable slippers. Joke 2 drips. Desert couture, this season's must-have. Sticky-proof donkey booties, progress slows. Each stride demands a sucking pop as pitch tries swallowing soles. Guards grumble, prying wagon wheels free with poles. You march beside interest, testing firmer edges where grit overlays tar. That's when you spot them. Faint footprints glistening, with oil, too small for caravan boots, skating lines rather than trudging dents. Sleeve robbers? Or green fox shadows? Packed covers your caravan, but thieves might target others sharing pass. You signal Parviz, eyes sharpen. Half a kilometer on, you find a stranded merchant cart, single ox perspiring hard. The driver, robes streaked with pitch, waves frantically. 2 chests ripped open, contents gone. He babbles about gliding ghosts, swooping in, plucking purses, even slicing harness straps so ox couldn't chase. You examine cut leather, clean blade work. Mainstream fact, highway thieves often disabled pursuit first. Quirky note, some sprinkled chili over tar to make captors. Eyes water if they fell wrestling. Historians still argue cruelty scale, but you find red flecks on ground. Evidence. Your pact obligates nothing here, yet conscience nags. You blow fox whistle once, short chirp. Wind carries it across basalt walls. Moments later, 3 emerald-scarved riders emerge, skimming tar with wood planks strapped beneath shoes, improvised skis. They nod recognition, listen to Merchant's tale. Their leader, younger than you expected, sighs. Renegades ignoring Fox's codes. They promise retrieval, push off, gliding like dragonflies. You lend the Merchant spare rope, help lash, chest lids shut, and direct him toward your group for protection. Joke 3 surfaces. Welcome to our sticky parade. No ticket necessary. Just try not to glue yourself to the scenery. Sun climbs. Tar softens further. One guard loses sandal, curses echoing. You hand him a strip of quilted vest as footpad. Morale droops until distant whoop rises. Fox riders returning, dragging 2 bound thieves atop planks. Recovered goods. Piled high. Leader tosses you a silk purse as proof. Inside, the stolen copper coins and, surprise, a tiny licorice root bundle. She smirks. Compensation from our side. Consider the scent a signature. Caravan cheers. Even tar seems less suffocating. By midday escape, boots coated black, you reach gravel plain where a breeze finally strips bitumen stench. You pause to scrape soles with knives. Merchant thanks you with spool of fine silk thread. Light, valuable, easily hidden. You accept, tucking it beside jade bead. Callback humor. Inventory now includes fox whistle, silk thread, copper seal, talisman, amulet. Your belt rivals a curio shop. After brief rest, journey targets a lone well marked on ancient tablets as thirst ender. Approaching, you see crumbled stone ring and leaning wooden frame, dry. Panic flickers. Mainstream fact. Wells along lesser routes often silted up after floods rerouted aquifers. Quirky legend. Some were guarded by spirits who hoarded. Water. Travelers left shiny objects to buy a drink. Historians still argue if offerings were superstition or conveniently accepted by maintenance caretakers. You lower a gourd. Thud, not splash. Empty. Despair ripples through ranks. Heat hammering. You recall license pitch smell of licorice. Anise shrubs grow near moisture. You scour perimeter. Spot pale green tufts in a shallow swale. Digging beneath reveals damp sand. Caravanners scramble, scoop hollows that soon seep with brackish water. Cheers erupt. You drop a token, copper seal, into one pool, thanking hypothetical. Spirits and lightning load slightly. Joke 4 beams. Hydration fee paid to the Underworld Department of Pickpocket Prevention. Replenished, trekkers press on toward the scarlet mesas of Firetooth Plateau, rumored final gauntlet before rejoining Imperial Highway. Evening bleeds crimson across cliffs, hence the name. Shadows stretch long. With them, anxiety that renegade. Thieves may spurn packs at night. You propose double sentry, rotating every hour. Parviz agrees. Appoints you and a grizzled guard first watch. Campfire crackles. Mesas glow ember red, then dull to ash as stars ignite. Your co-sentry sharpens scimitar, eyes darting. You listen instead. Ankle bells hung on guy lines. Fox whistle. At lip, ears attuned for tar skater swish or licorice torch scent. Only wind sighs through sagebrush, carrying faint hum from Singing Ridge far behind. Memory music. During watch, you observe Merchant threading silk through torn pouch seams, deft motions in firelight. Inspired, you reinforce your own satchel, with gifted thread, stitching over weak spots. Stitch, knot, hum, a lullaby of control in chaotic desert. You accidentally sew a tiny loop perfect for tucking jade bead whistle secure. Midnight baton passes, you slip into blanket. Dream fragments swirl. Tar rivers reflecting starry pickpocket eyes. Licorice-scented flames chasing thieves over dunes. Copper seal spinning down watery well like coin-op offering. Yet through each vignette, your satchel remains firmly in hand. Stitches shining silver. Perhaps that's what victory looks like out here. Not the absence of danger, but possessions and principles still intact after danger's dance. Dawn glimmers off Firetooth Plateau, sandstone fangs catching light like rows of molten coins, sharp-edged, dazzling, and, according to merchant lore, as eager to swallow travelers as any living bandit. You rise, testing last night's silk. Stitches. Satchel feels snug, seams smooth. Joke 1 grins with you. Good morning, possessions. Thank you for staying in your assigned seats. Today's route climbs switchbacks etched into cliff face by convicts centuries ago. One stone. Perlash legend claims. Mainstream fact. Penal work crews indeed cut supply paths in remote Gansu, their graffiti still visible. Quirky tidbit. Some prisoners carved riddles instead of names, wagering freedom on guards solving them. Historians still argue whether any God actually pardoned a clever carver. Your fingers brush a riddle on railing as you ascend. What has hands but steals time? You whisper, a pickpocket's purse, and hope some restless soul feels vindicated. The ascent narrows into single file. Ledge, sheer drop yawning left. Wind buffets, promising to turn purses into parachutes. You lash belt tighter, shift satchel to chest. Interest brays protest, the path barely donkey wide. You guide him with murmured encouragement and promise of dates at summit. Halfway up, whistle bead clacks against jade amulet, tiny alarm reminding you Fox's pact may not extend to vultures overhead or opportunists behind. Near top, ledge widens into pocket plateau, hosting stone shrine, weathered guardian statue, clutching copper mirror. Pilgrims heap offerings, coins, ribbon, rice cakes. Yet mirror surface dulled, smeared, a sign. As caravan halts to rest, you spot a lithe figure kneeling in prayer, sleeves voluminous. The robe pattern, ink blue peonies over charcoal, sparks memory. The tea house sleeve snake apprentice you flagged days ago. She's grown bolder. You sidle closer, pretending to study statue engravings. Her eyes flick sideways, calculating. She departs shrine area, accidentally brushing Parviz's belt. You clear throat loudly. She flinches, retreats. Parviz checks purse, intact, shoots you grateful glance. Joke 2 smirks. Pilgrimage complete. Miracle purse preservation achieved. You confront the girl privately near cliff edge. Instead of scolding, you offer a dried date. She eyes it, suspicion thawing. You ask why she stalks caravan. She admits master sent her to prove worth by scoring a foreign lionhead coin. Your Sogdian Sices. Refusal means punishment. Mainstream fact. Apprenticeship in thief guilds documented. Masters collecting cuts. Quirky sliver. Some guilds. Branded novices with secret tattoos showing number of successful lifts. Historians still argue authenticity of branding, but the girl rolls sleeve. Faint ink mark, numeral 1. She needs a second. You weigh choices. Helping her fail invites cruelty. Letting her steal invites loss. You devise third path. Slip her the counterfeit copper seal you recovered. Shiny, ornate, worthless, but exotic. She lights up, bows deep. Pact of mercy sealed. She vows to steer clear henceforth. Darts off down goat trail, free yet burdened with elaborate forgery. Callback echo. Mirror man's embarrassment. Spider boy's scramble. Your legacy grows as guardian of purses and strays alike. Summit reached. Vista unfurls. Imperial highway stripes west across grass-flecked plain. The big road. Patrols plenty. Markets bigger. Pickpockets abundant but predictable. Group exhales collective relief. Still morning, so Parviz votes sprint descent to reach caravanserai of 1,000 doors before dusk. Wall-to-wall lodging once built for King's entourage, now common hub. Descent proves gentler. Sandstone turns to packed loess. Mid-slope, the E. Wind carries faint metallic clatter, distant market or weapon drill. You peer through spyglass. Columns of soldiers practicing formation near roadside fort. Safety, yes, but also inspections. Joke 3 hums. Brace for bureaucracy, the only pickpocket that issues receipts. Sure enough, Checkpoint ahead waves caravans into queue. Officials tally goods, compare to outbound manifests, levy taxes. You present copper-inked docket. Officer nods, but eyebrows rise at whistle bead and jade amulet. He requests inspection. You comply, narrating each item's story. Monk talisman, fox pact token, licorice purse of reparations. Listening crowd gathers, amused. Officer's stern mask cracks. He waves search of rest of satchel, stamps pass with extra flourish. Lesson. Honesty laced with narrative disarms more than hidden blades. Mainstream fact. Tang outposts logged traveler stories in oral reports called Dawen, believing anecdotal intel aided frontier governance. Quirky flourish. Storytellers whose tales amused commandants sometimes received tax discounts. Historians still argue policy consistency, but your waved search suggests perks linger. Beyond fort, highway widens into stone-paved lanes bordered by poplar rows. The sun dips. Caravanserai of 1,000 doors appears, rectangular fortress where every archway once housed dignitary. Now numbers nearer 200 doors, yet name persists. Inside, maze of courtyards, fountains, bustling stalls. You secure stable slot for interest. Bell removed, lest it keep neighbors awake. And rent cubicle with wooden bolt. Evening bazaar within walls promises hot meals, but also thieves drawn to weary newcomers. Still, hunger overtakes worry. You wander lanes where smoke from lamb skewers braids with lute melodies. A vendor flips fried sesame cakes, aroma reels you. You pay with small silver shaving, pocket cake, scout seating. At communal table you share space with Silk Road polymath, part trader, part physician, who critiques your posture, offers coin purse placement advice. Keep soft goods high, hard goods low. Thieves' fingers search like water, flowing to resistance. Mainstream knowledge nod. Pickpockets read material density. Quirky add-on. He claims sprinkling ground pepper inside purse deters hands. Painful surprise if punctured. Historians still argue humane aspect. You recall peppercorn decoy from lotus vendor and smile at cyclical wisdom. Meal done, you stroll corridor of doors, each painted motif unique. Cranes, dragons, coin trees. Your cubicle sports twin carp, symbol of perseverance. Inside, you thread fresh pepper into purse lining, why not, and wedge satchel strap under mattress board. Exhaustion tugs, yet night market drums continue outside. You watch shadows dart, under lanterns, silhouettes poised on thresholds, and wonder how many stories tomorrow's checkpoint officers will gain from this single inn. Joke 4 murmurs as eyelids fall. Sleep tight, hold tight. Some people count sheep. I count potential thieves and still nod off faster. In darkness, carp on door seem to swim under flickering torchlight, guarding as loyal sentries. Bells. Silent, stitches firm, pepper potent. Amid faint echo of highway patrol bugle, you slip into sleep, where riddles smile from cliff railings and fox whistles chase away time-stealing hands. For now, peace buys you the most precious coin, rest. A thunder of hoofbeats jars you awake long before dawn. At first, confusion, carp guardian door still shut, satchel wedged, bells unjostled. Then the realization, the commotion is outside, tearing through the central courtyard of the caravanserai. Of 1,000 doors, you unlatch the wooden bolt and peer out. Torches flare, guards shout, merchants clutch half-packed bundles. Word passes down the corridor quicker than coin through a holy purse. Royal bullion convoy hit. Thieves inside the walls. Joke 1 whispers as you sling the satchel across your chest. Well, the 1,000 doors promise easy entry. Guess we never specified for whom. You hustle toward the hubbub. 2 imperial carriages, sleek, red-lacquered, dragon-headed, stand breeched like split pomegranates. Guards kneel beside toppled chests, inspecting velvet linings now embarrassingly bare. Mainstream fact. Bullion convoys moved under night cover to avoid tax riots but became prime targets for insider jobs. Quirky shard, regulations required counting. Ingots by weight of songbirds, a poetic code phrase, before sealing crates. Historians still argue if the birds ever sang fortune or warning. Captain Shen, the same officer who enjoyed your travel tales yesterday, recognizes you and waves frantically. Storyteller, did you see anyone leave? You didn't, but recall Fox's admonition. Pact covers your caravan, not crown cargo. Still, you feel indebted. You offer help tracking culprits. Shen agrees, deputizes you on the spot. No badge. Just a knot of yellow silk to pin on arm. Joke 2 twinkles. Always wanted a promotion, didn't expect the pay to be zero and the risk to be everything. Examining the scene, you find twin sets of boot prints in fresh lamp oil spillage, oddly narrow, almost graceful as dancer steps, pointing toward door 347. Motif, twin phoenix. You recall hearing lute music from that hallway earlier. Shen and... You proceed. Inside, the room lies deserted except for lingering cedar incense and a single jade bead identical to your fox whistle, but drilled side to side, not at mouth. Message, you blow softly, no sound. Instead, a curled paper hidden inside bead dislodges. It reads, "Not us. You're renegades again. Meet at Western Parapet." With the rising sun, the signature is a tiny fox paw print. Relief, pact unbroken, but renegades threaten your fragile diplomacy. You and Shen ascend stairwells to Parapet as pre-dawn indigo lightens. There, cloaked silhouettes appear. Fox herself and 2 lieutenants. Shen bristles, hand on sword. You, lift arm to forestall bloodshed, recite quick summary. Renegades targeted bullion. Fox's eyes, sharp behind mask, flash anger. They fracture our code, endanger sanctuary. She proposes joint pursuit. Her scouts know their bolt hole, but need Imperial face to quell firefight. Shen hesitates. You bridge trust, invoking your testimony of Fox's earlier restitution. Mainstream fact. Frontier law sometimes granted. Pardons to outlaw bands aiding crown. Quirky precedent. A horse thief tribe once received official stable contracts after rescuing a magistrate from sandstorm. Historians still argue fairness. Shen, perhaps sensing future promotion, consents. Plan. Ride hard along abandoned irrigation canal. Cut thieves off at Black Lantern Ravine. Fox supplies skate plank sandals for sticky riverbeds and small pouches of licorice-scented pitch. Signal flare when ignited. Shen musters 6 spearmen. You fetch interest. Fit him with canvas hoof wraps against canal slime. Joke 3. Mutters as you mount. Nothing like dawn cavalry on a donkey to chase gymnastic bandits. Epics will totally omit that detail. The canal path lies choked with reeds, moon glinting off stagnant pools. Fox's scouts glide ahead, leaving crisscross plank tracks. You and Shen's men slog but keep pace. Birds start trilling. The east rim glows. Then, echo of clanging metal, panicked shout. You spur forward into ravine mouth where cliff walls squeeze the world to a slit. Renegade thieves, 6 figures, scramble, laden with silver ingot sacks. When they spot the mixed company, they scatter up talus slopes like lizards, attempting a pincer escape. Foxfire's reed whistle, her archers on ridge loose arrows that thunk inches from renegades' feet, herding them downward toward Imperial spears. One thief darts toward you, cleaver raised. You tug Fox whistle around neck, but no time, so you fling pepper-lined purse directly into his face. He reels, eyes watering, weapon forgotten. Joke 4 blares mid-adrenaline. Spicy losses courtesy of exotic merchant defense systems. Another bandit makes vault for higher ledge, using plank skis. You anticipate, flick donkey's rein. Interest surges, miracle of adrenaline, and you intercept, swinging satchel like mace. Silk reinforced. Seams hold. The impact knocks thief onto sticky mud where plank skis betray him, sliding back into Shen's custody. Minutes later, dust settles. All renegades captured, silver recovered. Shen breathes thanks. Fox offers nod of grim satisfaction. But one crisis remains. How to explain outlaw collaboration to incoming magistrate? You draft compromise. Shen reports recovery credit to his men, while noting anonymous intelligence tip. In return, Fox's people gain limited amnesty inside caravanserai, conditional on safeguarding guests, a formalization of the informal pact. Shen, seeing benefit of fewer theft reports, accepts. Mainstream fact footnote. Some Silk Road inns hired reformed bandits as night guards, their intimate knowledge of thievery becoming asset. Quirky add-on. Contracts supposedly paid in promise. Tokens. Wooden discs redeemable only after a full year of honest service, ensuring longevity. Historians still argue efficacy, but you watch Shen hand Fox a pouch of such discs, edges freshly carved. Back within the 1,000 doors, sun finally crests. Travelers emerge, unaware how close their coin purses came to flight. You, Shen, and Fox share brief toast of barley tea in a quiet alcove. Fox gifts you final charm, a sliver of mirror glass wrapped in green silk. To reflect deceit before it reaches you, she says. You retreat to carp door cubicle, heart still drumming. Satchel inspection. Intact. Pepper deflated pouch lighter, but memory heavier. You add the mirror to your growing talisman raffle. Journal entry scribbles itself. Section 11. From bullion breach to pepper barrage, trust as blade, humor as shield. Maybe someday a historian will cite your pages when they argue whether fox-masked bandits or donkey-mounted deputies kept the Silk Road safer. Sleep now impossible, you watch sunlight stripe floorboards, each beam sliding like door after door, opening toward tomorrow's leg of the journey. For the first time you consider, the pickpockets, the monks, the riddles, they are no longer obstacles but chapters in a story you actively author. And so you tighten straps, roll blanket, whisper, thanks to the carp guardians, and step through yet another door, ready for whichever hand, honest or sneaky, the road extends next. You clear the caravanserai of 1,000 doors at mid-morning, a fresh yellow silk knot still pinned to your sleeve, souvenir of last night's impromptu deputizing, and an even fresher mirror shard charm nestled in your satchel. Joke 1 swivels, with the gate hinges behind you. Deputy, diplomat, donkey jockey. At this rate, you'll need a business card longer than the Silk Road. The Imperial Highway straightens westward, lined for a little while by mulberry groves whose leaves shiver like coins in a gentle breeze. Mainstream fact strolls beside you. The Tang Court planted mulberry belts along major arteries to feed silkworms on the move and to signal state-sponsored order. Quirky trivia hitchhikes, too. Some roadside inns brewed a syrupy mulberry leaf, tea reputed to make thieves drowsy. Proprietors joked it was liquid handcuffs. Historians still argue whether soporific leaves or soporific storytelling subdued more cut purses. Either way, you pocket a handful, because insurance now comes in every flavor. By noon, you and Parvis's slimmer caravan, several merchants peeled off to safer coastal spur, reach a crossroads marked by a weather-gnarled signpost sporting 6 arrows and 0 readable characters. A lone peddler naps beneath it, straw hat over face, flute beside him. When your bells jingle, he stirs, eyes crinkling. He offers directions in exchange for a tale. You oblige with the pepper purse exploit. He laughs so hard he nearly tips over, then waves you toward the less obvious northwesterly spur. Fewer tolls, fresher wells, but, he waggles a finger, home turf of the honey fingers. Joke 2 buzzes. Great, from sticky tar bandits to sticky candy bandits. Progress tastes suspiciously sweet. Honey fingers, you recall, are pickpockets famed for distracting victims by drizzling warm honey across sleeves, forcing frantic cleaning while accomplices skim belts. Mainstream fact nods. Tang magistrates recorded complaints of syrup assaults near orchard towns. Quirky footnote. One edict ordered public stocks smeared with honey and sesame seeds, so sentenced thieves attracted swarms of bees, punishment, and spectacle. Historians still argue cruelty, but you tuck veil tighter and warn companions. The spur begins pleasantly enough, through apricot orchards buzzing with bees that ignore you so long as you respect blooms. But mid-afternoon heat ferments a treacly scent on the air. You crest a hill and spot a roadside fair. Bright awnings, spinning ribbon dancers, vats of amber syrup bubbling over braziers. Parviz wants to barter apricots for spice. Guards crave shade. Your instincts itch, yet you agree, prepared. You coat forearms in a thin layer of your tar root licorice pitch, now repurposed as anti-stick shield. Joke 3 smears. If someone tries to sugarcoat you, serve them a taste of petroleum. Surprise. You wander stalls, feigning tourist wonder. A performer balances on stilts, ladling honey onto parchment for children to lick like lollipops. Nearby, a trio of rosy-cheeked women in gauze scarves hawk sesame brittle. Their eyes, however, skim. Purses more than customers. You drift closer, pretending to examine candy. One woman bumps your arm, jar tilting. Golden stream splashes your sleeve but slides off, repelled by licorice tar. Her smile falters. You raise mirror shard, catch her reflection mid-grimace. She steps back. Accomplice's hand freezes inches. From Parviz's belt, caught glittering in mirror's edge. You clap sharply. Scene freezes. Children giggle, thinking it part of show. Rather than shout accusation, you flip a coin high. All eyes follow. As it arcs, you whip fox whistle. One crisp trill. From rooftop shade, 2 emerald-scarved figures arise. Foxes deputized night guards on their probationary rounds. They vault down, corner the Honeyfingers trio. The fair erupts in shocked murmurs, but violence subsides quickly. Thieves surrender, sticky-handed. Fox's guards confiscate jars, returning them, honey still warm, to bewildered vendors. Mainstream fact cameo. Market authorities sometimes forced captured pickpockets to hand out their stolen wares gratis as ironic restitution. Quirky twist. Legend claims a repentant Honeyfinger later invented sesame honey energy bars for weary travelers. Historians still argue authenticity. You unwrap a complimentary brittle square, bite approvingly. Crisis averted. You purchase 2 jars of innocent honey, gods supervise, and gift one to Fox deputies, sealing expanded alliance. Parviz toasts with mulberry leaf tea. Nobody dozes, but everyone's spirits lighten. Evening shadows stretch. A plum-colored cloud bank brews in. Local farmer warns of sudden Schachenbau, sand dust squalls that can strip tents and temper in minutes. You quick march to a sunken caravanserai ruin. Roof gone, but walls thick. Inside, arches echo lost grandeur. Graffiti of travelers past layers walls. Prayers, poems, romantic oaths, plus a chalk outline of a purse and the words, "Try me." Callback chuckle. Thieves advertise now. You arrange packs against leeward wall, rig bells and jars on trip cords, glass clink alarm. Licorice pitch jar warms near fire, doubling as adhesive for loose stones. Dinner is apricot honey glaze over hard tack, thanks to Parviz's culinary improvisation. Joke 4 hums between bites. From anti-theft goo to gourmet sauce, innovation tastes sweet. Night detonates with wind. Dust pelts walls like hail. Bells jangle. You leap up. False alarm. Only flying debris. Still you recite multiplication tables under breath, calming memory of singing dunes. Companions follow, turning storm into surreal, counting chorus. Eventually, gusts ease. Stars peak. Haze swirling away. All belongings accounted for. Before sleep, you paste mirror shard on satchel flap with pitch, a literal reflective lock. In its miniature surface, you glimpse firelight, your own wary eyes, and beyond them, the corridor of stories you've crossed. Sleeve snakes, spider boys, fox alliances, pepper grenades, honey traps. You realize the road has trained you into a hybrid creature, part merchant, part martial, part myth. And tomorrow, scrolls speak of Jade Gate Pass, last imperial throat before the western wilderness, said to clang shut on crimes committed inside. If pickpockets want their final flourish, it'll be there. You drift off imagining that great bronze gate, gleaming under noon sun, echoing with centuries of footsteps, some furtive, some bold, all jingling with hope or greed. But in your dream, when the gate swings, it reflects the thief's intent back at them like a mirror. And everyone walks through carrying only what is truly theirs. Morning arrives muted, as though the sandstorm spent the night sanding sound off the world. The ruined caravansary glows peach in first light, its bare arches framing the horizon like a row of hollow eyes. You shake grit from blankets, tug the mirror-locked satchel free of hardened pitch, and test the bells, still sing, glass jars unbroken. Joke 1 rattles into the hush. Survive dust, dessert, and dessert-themed thieves. Jade Gate can't be harder than pastry. The road west angles through low hills of yellow loess, their scalloped slopes echoing distant drums, fox deputies drilling recruits along the ridge, you guess. Parviz, sipping mulberry tea, recounts traveler myths. The Jade Gate, or Yumen Guan, once shimmered with emerald tiles, marking empire's edge. Passing through meant stepping from order into possibility. Mainstream fact strides up. Established. In the 2nd century BCE, the gate functioned less as jewel box and more as customs choke point for silk, jade, horses. Quirky footnote: an apocryphal clerk there supposedly taxed travelers by guessing weight of their dreams. If they looked too ambitious, extra coin. Historians still argue whether the tale mocks bureaucracy or poeticizes it. Either way, you pat your purse defensively. By midday, crenellated walls emerge, squat and ochre, dwarfed by surrounding emptiness yet undeniably monumental. The gatehouse itself, bronze-plated doors studded with iron, looms shut. A queue snakes outside. Traders, monks, even a troop of acrobats balancing lacquer boxes. These, you recall, often double as thieves. Boxes hide long arms fitted with hooks. Honeyfinger territory blends into acrobatic arm imports here. You station the caravan near a stone outcrop, stage a quick council. Strategy: enter gate staggered, not clumped. Scouts high on walls, love-crowded confusion. You hand each merchant a sliver of mirror pitch-glued to sleeves, instant periscope. Joke 2 flashes. Looking over your shoulder without turning. Finally, ergonomic paranoia. Approaching. Q. You notice heightened tension. Guards whisper. Citizens clutch satchels tighter. A notice board declares recent ingress of shadow serpents, elite pickpocket ring famed for using silk grapnels to fish purses from balconies. Your heart hops. Shadow serpents and sleeve snakes, an evolutionary ladder of larceny. Yet opportunity gleams. The serpent's bravado might let you test a trap worthy of Jade Gate legends. Inspection begins under an awning where officials weigh goods, stamp ledgers. You volunteer your story skills again. Captain Shen's yellow knot gains you swift recognition, permission to linger near officials as liaison. You position yourself, mirror shard angled to scan rafters. Within minutes, you spot movement. A thin cord unspooling from Eve, sliding toward a monk's donation jar. You nudge Shen. He signals silent pursuit. But you recall your outline promise. Clever trap, repentance. Instead of alarming crowd, you step forward, raising fox whistle, emitting soft trill barely audible above camel snorts. Emerald scarved. Deputies you arrange to flank plaza melt from shadows, each carrying a jar of leftover honey warmed by sun. As grapnel hooks purse, deputies hurl honey upward. Sticky arc coats, silk line. Traction fails. Thief yanked off balance tumbles from parapet into massive cushion. A merchant's felt bail you accidentally positioned. Crowd gasps, then cheers upon seeing culprit thrashing in syrupy wool. Mainstream fact interlude. Ancient Chinese. Security sometimes used birdlime, a sticky paste, to ensnare climbing thieves. Quirky twist you've improved with dessert topping. Historians still argue effectiveness. Demonstration earns applause. Yet trap netted only one serpent. Two more appear atop wall ledges, eyes cold. They begin to flee inward. You sprint after. Bells clanging. Acrobats with lacquer boxes block your path. Intimidation tactic or business interruption? You improvise. Fling licorice pitch onto cobbles ahead of fleeing thieves, creating surprise slick. Their silk shoes hydroplane. They skid into acrobats. Boxes pop open, revealing hook poles. The complicity confirmed. Chaos ripples. You, Shen, and Fox deputies corral group against jade green doors. But rather than chain them, you invoke that story of dreamweight tax. You propose they choose, stand public trial, or put skills to lawful test. Recover lost items within gate for a month, earn tokens of pardon like Fox's crew. Open scholarly debate flavor. Historians still argue whether reformed thieves turned, wardens lower crime or simply refine it. Today you wager reform. The lead serpent, older woman with silver streak braid, meets your gaze, notes mirror on your sleeve. Then the child apprentice's fake copper seal you fetched earlier. Recognition of empathy flashes. She nods. The troop kneels, surrendering hooks. Guards record agreement. Shen drafts token chits on the spot. Joke 3 sighs. Congratulations, you've franchised the Fox. Gate doors finally groan ajar. Line advances. As your donkey clops through, bronze panels reflect journey grime back at you. Sleeve patched with tar, honey splatter on boots, mirror chips flashing like fireflies. You half expect panels to slam, but they hold, creaking a benediction of hinges. Inside walls, a courtyard spreads, mosaic of jade-green riverstones glinting under sun. Merchants breathe relief. Some kiss the ground. You glance back. Shadow. Serpents already scrubbing honey from wall under guard supervision, beginning penance. In that act, you sense sincerity. Perhaps humility sticks better when sweetened. Parviz claps your shoulder. Past the gate, fewer pickpockets, more deserts and diplomacy. You smile thinly. Experience says thieves mutate, not disappear. Still, risk feels negotiated. A market stall ahead sells polished horn flutes. You buy one, trading surplus mulberry tea. While paying, you hear vendor whisper, joke 4. Careful, music charms snakes, to which you murmur, I've made peace with foxes. Snakes are next. Camp that night settles within the western courtyard barracks, under sky streaked. Lavender. You prop satchel against wall, mirror catching fire glow like tiny moon. Write in journal, jade gate trap sprung with dessert. Thieves chose redemption. Perhaps treasure isn't coin secured, but hands turned away from it.
Before sleep, you play a slow riff on new flute. Notes echo off jade stones, gentle, coaxing. Somewhere beyond, honey-scented wind drifts, mingling with licorice. And if any restless fingers lurk in shadows, the melody promises them alternative work come dawn.
Beyond the jade gate, the world drops its imperial scaffolding and sprawls wide like an unrolled carpet no dynasty has yet dared embroider. You ride at the caravan's point, donkey hooves puffing chalky dust that smells faintly of sage and sun-baked. Secrets. Joke 1 stirs with the breeze. Congratulations. Civilization's warranty just expired. Replacements or refunds no longer available. The landscape blends gravel fans and pale grass steps, broken by the glitter of salt flats that shimmer like spilled silver under the sky. Mainstream fact marches alongside. For centuries, these flats were the only mirror many nomads knew, useful for grooming horses and egos alike. Quirky scrap. Folklore claims the flats once hosted moonlight markets where merchants traded by starlight, to avoid jealous spirits of daylight taxation. Historians still argue whether such nocturnal bazaars existed, but as the horizon wavers with heat, you half suspect the ghosts of booths still stand out there, inventory intact. Parviz proposes a shortcut across the Salt Vale Basin, a 2-day traverse shaving 50 miles off the main bend. Risk, mirages that disorient, plus alkaline dust that cracks leather, and ambitions. But the caravan spirits soar after your Jade Gate triumph. Consensus nods. You grease interests' hoof wraps with leftover honey, dual purpose, moisture seal, and donkey dessert, and smear licorice pitch on leather seams to fight the salt's bite. Improvisation has become your second skin. The basin greets you with blinding white crust. The sky, unanchored by walls, feels heavier, pressing your hat brim toward nose. Mid-morning, shimmering pools appear, turquoise and inviting. You recall lessons, approach and they vanish, or worse, swallow. You lift mirror shard, angle sunlight into a coded flash. Twin flares respond from Fox deputies tailing discreetly. They steer the caravan away from the illusion, like shepherd dogs guiding. Flock from cliff, by afternoon tongues parch. Water skins, sweat, desperation. Yet the flats gift surprise. Scattered ceramic urns half buried, each stoppered with cork. A silk tag flutters from one, emerald fox mark. You pry cork, cool water within, slightly sweetened by mulberry leaves. Mainstream fact interjects. Some outlaw bands cached resources for future raids. Fox converts caches to lifelines. Quirky accent. A tiny lacquer token floats atop each urn, etched with proverb. Yours reads, "Thirst teaches the worth of a trickle." Historians will argue whether altruism or long-game economics motivated such caches. Either way, you drink. Gratitude in gulps. Night blankets the basin with velvet studded by galaxies brighter than any lantern. Camp lacks firewood, so you arrange salt block reflectors and place single lamp at center. Light scatters, amplifying into luminous dome. Guards relax within halo, but you remain vigilant. White ground perfect for silent footfalls. You anchor ankle bells at your wrists tonight, clinking softly as you write. Salt mirrors thieves less than bronze gates. Still, reflection reminds fingers to behave. At pre-dawn, distant drum thump rumbles, hoofbeats. A mounted column gallops over flats. Nomad riders, banners snapping like raven wings. You rouse caravan. Defensive semicircle forms. The nomads halt at respectful distance. Their leader, cheekbones sharp as eagle beak, dismounts, tossing a pouch to the ground. It spills jade beads identical to your fox token. Diplomacy inbound. You step forward, mirror raised. Leader mirrors gesture with polished copper disc. He speaks in Turkic lilt. Parviz translates. They request trade, dates and cloth for safe escort. Through basin's western exit, where bandits, none of foxes, ambush lone groups. Mainstream fact, nomad escorts often sold protection passes, unofficial, yet effective. Quirky angle, some bands rated themselves with animal mascots. This one calls itself the Dust Hares. Fast, elusive, occasionally nibbling unattended supplies. Historians still argue whether they robbed those they escorted. You gamble trust, exchange sealed. The Dust Hares flank caravan, scouting ahead. Hours later, they point out telltale vulture spiral, bandit ambush site. You prepare pepper-packed ceramic spheres, gifts from serpents-turned guards at Jade Gate. Wind gust cues attack, bandits spring from salt ridges, swords glinting. You lob pepper bombs, red cloud erupts, sending ambushers coughing blind. Nomad. Arrows whoosh, precise yet non-lethal. Dust Hares honor trade. Bandits flee, eyes streaming, vows of revenge lost in wind. Joke 2 puffs. Apparently, the desert menu serves pepper with everything. Escort complete. Hares depart, gifting you a rabbit foot talisman. You suspect practicality, foot still attached to live hair, which they release into grassland. Symbolic freedom. Caravan salutes. Grass replaces salt. Air carries scent of distant rivers. You top a ridge and gasp. Before you sprawls Kashgar Oasis, patchwork of poplar groves, clay domes, minaret spears catching sun. The Western Market, end of this leg, beginning of another. You've shepherded goods, allies, and every coin still yours, plus a few charms. The pickpockets, some reformed, some routed, some perhaps already waiting in Kashgar's maze, sharpening new ploys. But you arrive wiser, gear jingling with bells, mirrors, pepper, and the quiet assurance that creativity outpaces cunning. Approach gates, muezzin. Call drifts over water canals. Merchants straighten loads, dust off robes. You guide interest beneath archway where embroidered banners read in 4 scripts. Trade breeds peace. Inside, stalls cascade with melons, lapis, and spice towers so vivid your nose sneezes colors. Yet you notice subtle cues. Child jugglers whose final toss lands in tourists' pockets, silk fan dancers whose swirls conceal partners prying. Hands. Game on, you smile. Raise flute to lips. A slow, lilting tune curls through bazaar, unexpected instrument among shouts. Heads turn, distracted fingers still. As you play, Fox's green-scarved deputies slip into crowd, ready. Pepper bombs nestle in robe pockets. Bells jingle counter-rhythm. The dance between watcher and would-be snatcher enters new city, but you conduct now, maestro of mischief prevention. And under Kashgar's sun, you vow one thing for every future. Road. Your purse and your story will travel together, guarded by humor sharp as pepper, reflection bright as jade, and allies once called enemies who learned to value a handshake over a heist. And now, gentle traveler, let the marketplace fade to a distant, happy murmur. Picture yourself reclining beneath a wide poplar on the oasis edge, warm breeze stirring the leaves into a soft hush, almost like slow applause for the miles you've conquered. Your donkey grazes nearby, bells silent at last, each charm around your neck lying cool and still against your chest. The mirror shard catches the final amber rays of sunset, then sighs into darkness, leaving only the faint glow of a lantern floating on the canal, bobbing with sleepy persistence. Breathe in. The air smells faintly of honey and licorice, reminders of dangers outwitted and transformed into sweetness. Breathe out. Feel the sand and salt that once scraped your boots trickle away from memory, replaced by the steady rhythm of distant drums fading toward silence. The bustling bazaar hushes, its colors sliding into calming blues and grays, as though someone gently dimmed the world for rest. Stars emerge, one by one, steady and unrushed, like coins placed carefully into the velvet purse of the sky. You trace with your imagination those 2 vigilant glints you once called the pickpocket's eyes, still watching but no longer warning, just shimmering companions above your dreams. A low flute phrase rises, slow and soothing, wrapping around. Your thoughts like soft silk, guiding them down to stillness. Feel your eyelids grow heavy, muscles loosen, satchel safe by your side. Whatever journeys wait beyond tomorrow's gate can stay there, unhurried. Tonight, you carry only ease, each breath a step deeper into calm. Let the final echo of caravan bells dissolve into the vast quiet and drift, ever so gently, into peaceful, well-guarded sleep.